everybody. I am Demetra Kaye, and I hope that you are having a great day. Of course, I am from the Demetra Kaye Show right here on YouTube, where you can find me Sunday through Wednesday, 5 p.m. Central Time. You can also find me right here on the African Diaspora News Channel, Tuesday through Thursday, 11 a.m. Central Time, where I will have a great conversation with you on both channels. Now, today we're going to spend some time talking about Venezuelan selective outrage used to distract Black Americans from our own issues. And with that, we're going to spend some time in Chicago. I got a lot to show you. So we're going to both learn a lot of things here. But while we're waiting for more people to trickle in, I want to talk to y'all about our app. Yes, indeed. We have an app, African Diaspora News app, where you can get it from your phone on your Google or Apple Play Store. Of course, you know that app is for us, by us, and everything else in between, right? Black-owned media, we like to call it, because while you see me on here, YouTube, we don't own YouTube. Do we own the channel and the name and all that? Yes, that's ours. But God forbid something happens to YouTube, right? Where would you find us? Well, you can find us on our app. So I say to those of y'all who have already got the app, invested in that, thank you so much. And for those of y'all who haven't, what are you waiting on? What are you waiting on? Add it to your Netflix, your Hulu, and your Paramount, and all the other streaming services you have. Just add it with that, right? Because with that, and I'm not trying to tell you how to spend your money, but if you have those apps and you don't have ours, why? Right? At least add a Black-owned app and all that to what you have, your collection. Let's call it that, your collection, because you're going to hear the news about us, from us, all over the world, right? From our perspective. You can turn on ABC, CBS, and all the other ones. You know, it's got a lot going on now, and you can hear some things about us, but you ain't gonna hear the real, right? So again, please and thank you so very much. Who do we have on here? Simply Sandra, what's going on with you? Men, how you doing? He said you're watching from South Africa. Woohoo! You know what? I love South Africa, Johannesburg, to be exact. I cannot wait to go back. It's one of my favorite places in the world to visit. I did not go to Durban. Perhaps maybe next time I will. King Noble, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Jose, how you doing? Sister Sunlight, what's going on? And Linda and 777, how you doing? So anyway, it says, I inspired, you say you inspired me to do my own, it says called Jesus American. So, okay, you got your own app called Jesus American Diaspora. Very interesting. Well, I don't know if I inspired you, but I'm glad that you got one anyway. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into it for the sake of time. We got a lot to discuss. So anyway, of course, you all know that the United States, via the Trump administration, has taken over Venezuela. That happened a couple of days ago in the middle of the night, early morning, where we learned that troops were sent over to Venezuela to, as some people say, kidnap or commandeer that of Nicolas Maduro and his wife, the president of Venezuela. I guess he still is. I don't know. But anyway, he's over here in a New York jail. He had a hearing and I guess an arraignment the other day, and they're going to hold him over until March so they can decide exactly what's going to happen. But nevertheless, he was charged for narco-terrorism, amongst some other things. But I'm going to show y'all the video of Trump talking about it when it happened. So here it is.
Run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years. So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. And it has to be judicious, because that's what we're all about. We want peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela, and that includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States and want to go back to their country. It's their homeland. We can't take a chance that somebody else takes over Venezuela that doesn't have the good of the Venezuelan people in mind. We've had decades of that. So we're going to stay until such time as we're going to run it, essentially, until such time as a proper transition can take place.
Okay. So that was President Donald Trump talking about, the aftermath of when they arrested Nicolas Maduro and his wife. Sounds like some people on the ground were harmed as well. Civilian places were tore up and all of that. So he says, well, into the meantime, we are going to run Venezuela. Now, of course, a lot of people are talking about the oil that Venezuela has. Says they have one of the largest oil reserves that there is. Now, Trump has used what he calls the Monroe Doctrine, which is a derivative, or I guess a play on the Monroe Doctrine from 1823, which basically says that the United States has the right to patrol or control the Western Hemisphere, if you will, and Venezuela is in the Western Hemisphere. So Trump has merged his doctrine together and say, yep, that's why we're doing it right again. Nicolas Maduro, he's doing some inhumane things to his people, and there's a lot of, drug activity that's going on over here in the United States due to Venezuela, which that hasn't really been proven. Of course, we've seen and heard about all of the, let's call it Battleship Galactica activity from the United States government, bombing boats. Some of them have been said to be fishermen and things like that. Sounds like over 100 people have been taken out by U.S. Weapons, again, being accused of trying to, I guess, I don't know, they're rowing their boat over to America to, distribute some narcotics. All right. So from that point, there's been a lot of conversation, especially from the Democrat Party. They're upset. And listen, I'm not saying that what Trump and them is doing is right in Venezuela. I'm not saying that. I'm one of those people that think that the United States should mind their business, because we know the United States does not possess the ability to mind their business for a whole host of other reasons and interests, right? But with that, there's been a lot of conversation about, well, what Trump is doing is wrong. He shouldn't have been doing that. It's evil. It's wrong. Yes, Maduro has some issues, but Trump doesn't have the right to go over there and do what he did, right? Well, a while ago, I would say, that President Obama was called to the carpet, and I forgot to upload that video, but I'll tell y'all about it. He was basically saying the same thing that Trump was saying, right? Venezuela, they're under an evil dictatorship under Maduro, right? It's very inhumane what's going on, and that something needs to be done about it. And then Maduro was telling basically Obama, hey, mind your business. Who are you to be meddling in our business, right? So Maduro was mad at Obama, but Obama was saying the same things. However, he didn't go and do what Trump did. Now, there's another issue that, for whatever reasons, Democrats or whatever want to gloss over. Now, y'all remember, I think it was 2011, where Obama, his administration, decided to go into Libya and take out Muammar Gaddafi. Now, I'm going to show y'all a snippet of all of that. Here we go. I'm trying to add it. It won't add. Hold on.
The government of Libya announced the death of Muammar Gaddafi. This marks the end of a long and painful chapter for the people of Libya, who now have the opportunity to determine their own destiny in a new and democratic Libya. For 4 decades, the Gaddafi regime ruled the Libyan people with an iron fist. Basic human rights were denied. Innocent civilians were detained, beaten, and killed, and Libya's wealth was squandered. The enormous potential of the Libyan people was held back, and terror was used as a political weapon. Today, we can definitively say that the Gaddafi regime has come to an end. The last major regime strongholds have fallen. The new government is consolidating the control over the country, and one of the world's longest-serving dictators is no more.
As his 2 terms wind down, President Obama is reflecting on the past 8 years in the White House. Speaking with Fox Network anchor Chris Wallace, he was asked what he considers his worst mistake as president.
Probably failing to plan for the day after what I think was the right thing to do in intervening in Libya.
President's referring there to the capture of Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi. Although President Obama says he thinks the intervention went as well as it could have, he views Libya today as a mess.
Okay, so you heard it. That was, I think like 9 years ago or something like that. where he basically viewed Libya as a mess. And it's like, you don't say it's a mess, because again, y'all know that he went in there and Hillary, she was so happy and buoyant. She said, what did she say? We came, we saw, he died. That's what she said about Muammar Gaddafi. And there was Obama saying, well, you know, there was some things I could have done better. Now we know that even today that Libya is destabilized, right? Since they got rid of Muammar Gaddafi. So Libya today, of course, they have a divided government. There's different people and factions fighting over who should control Libya. So I don't know, their government is kind of non-existent to a degree. Of course, we know that they have militias running rampant. There's a lot of lawlessness going on in Libya as we speak. Again, these are some of the things that Obama says, well, we didn't really have a post plan. We just kind of went in there and what Hillary said, right? And we left. Again, they were accusing Muammar Gaddafi of being inhumane and just doing some horrible things to his people, right? So they have to go in there. All right. Now, of course, we know that there's an economic collapse there as we speak in Libya. Now, before the economic collapse under Gaddafi, there was free healthcare, free education. They had one of the wealthiest economies in the world. Also, one of the largest oil reserves in Africa. They said at the time they had about 48 billion barrels of oil. So they were doing okay, right? And no real problems. But then again, Obama and his administration went in there and they destabilized Libya. But I bring that up is because why is everybody silent about that? When they talk about what, and again, I'm not trying to defend Trump, so please don't mistake me in that. But when people, especially on the left, bring up what Trump is doing to Venezuela, they always seem to forget what Obama did to, Libya. Okay. So moving right along, because like I said, I got quite a few things to show you. When I think about things like this, I think about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I think it was in 1996, where he had an interview with Mike Wallace, and they were discussing Libya in part of that interview. And this is what was said.
Nigeria, which is, if not the most corrupt nation in Africa, and it is, it could be the most corrupt nation in the world, Minister Farrakhan.
Oh, now, Mr. Wallace.
It is the most corrupt nation that I have ever covered. I've been there 25 years ago, and I've been there as recently as last year.
Fine. So what? 35 years old. That's what that nation is. Now, here's America, 226 years old. You love democracy, but there in Africa, you're trying to force these people into a system of government that you just have accepted 30 years ago. Black folk got the right to vote. You're not in any moral position to tell anybody how corrupt they are. You should be quiet and let those of us who know our people go there and help them get out of that condition. But America should keep her mouth shut wherever there's a corrupt regime, as much hell as America has raised on the earth. No, I will not allow America, or you, Mr. Wallace, to condemn them as the most corrupt nation on earth when you have spilled the blood of human beings. Has Nigeria dropped an atomic bomb and killed people in Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Have they killed off millions of Native Americans? How dare you put yourself in that position as a moral judge? I think you should keep quiet.
Okay. One of my favorite clips of all time. Now, some of y'all might be wondering, and if I said, I think I said Libya, but I meant Nigeria when they talk about Nigeria. Some of y'all probably wondering, okay, well, what does that have to do with Chicago? Because I talked about Chicago, right? So again, that was the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, where he was basically telling Mike Wallace, how dare you try to label Nigeria as one of the most corrupt nations in the planet, right? Or on the planet, because of all the tyranny that the United States has exacted upon everybody. Well, I want to go to Chicago, where Mayor Brandon Johnson was having some sort of a symposium or something like that with D.L. Hughley and Don Lemon. I guess Don Lemon and D.L., they have some show now, a podcast where they're traveling all over. It's called D.L. plus D.L. Something, everything's open for discussion or something like that is the name of the show. And this is a snippet of what happened. And I got this from Mayor Brandon Johnson's page, and then we'll discuss it.
You set an example, I believe, for every local leader around the country on how to deal with ICE. And DL and I were talking about what you've done with the police department and just the way you've handled that. Why did you do it that way? And what's your advice for other mayors and other you know, the people who are in leadership roles around the country?
You know, the advice that I would just offer up is that, you know, our democracy is severely under attack. And the only way we're going to save this democracy is if we do what our ancestors did and we find out what our collective strength is and then we use it. Donald Trump is using ICE as his private militarized police force. This is a wicked attack to just test out to see how far tyranny can go. And if we're not careful and if we don't push back and use executive orders, legislation, take it to the streets, the courts, if we don't use everything that black people use to get us free, in the words of Sin K, we're going to find ourselves subjugated to tyranny, and then we're going to look up and figure out how it happened. But one thing that I know for sure, not in Chicago.
I know that he's talked about attacking Nigeria and Venezuela. And I wonder how many black and brown people are going to have to die because he was on the Epstein list.
You all can go back and look at the tape from 2 years ago. I warned not just this city, but the people of this country that the access to natural resources have always dominated this conversation around what's happening in Central and South America. And now the evidence is quite clear, where now you're looking at a president of the United States of America using false information like what's being discussed now to justify war on brown people and black people across the globe. It's why we have to be very thoughtful about our language, but also ensuring that we're speaking truth. The more we use awful language, the more we allow for misinformation to dominate. It's the warning, of course, that James Baldwin expressed, that ignorance and power allied is the most ferocious enemy of justice. And that's why we are beating back against ignorance and certainly against the powerful forces that have made it very clear that they would rather protect their profit than protect humanity.
Okay, so there's a lot of things going on there, and I'm glad he said that, you know, in a sense, we need to fight back against ignorance, because that's what we're going to try to do here today. So there's a few things going on in those clips. Again, that was some, you know, podcast that DL and Don Lemon are doing, but they basically talked about ICE, right? We have to collectively figure out how to combat ICE. And then you heard Mayor Brandon Johnson say we need to use, in a sense, black people, right, to help stop ICE. The things that we have done in our community is like, no, we don't need to do that, right? Because that doesn't have anything to do with us at all. But Brandon Johnson seems to like to bring up black ancestors, right? All right, slaves and things like that on the plantation and correlate them with what's going on with ICE. Okay. Now, he also talked about Venezuela, about how the United States is going after the natural resources and things like that. Now, when I think about Mayor Brandon Johnson speaking about those things, I'm like, yo, homie, you got a lot of things going on in your own backyard, right? Especially with Black Americans. And somehow you know, talking about ICE and all this other stuff, Venezuela, and you're just participating in the benign neglect of Black people in your community. Now, some of y'all might remember this particular video that took place, I think it was 2024 at a city hall meeting. Here we go.
You working. No more money for you. Bye-bye. Go back across the No more money for you. No more money for you. It's lazy. You lazy. No more money for you.
Okay. So I believe that was a Venezuelan immigrant there at the city hall in Chicago. He was fighting with a sister, in a sense, telling her, you don't deserve no money. Y'all lazy and all this other stuff, right? Right there in Brandon Johnson City that he is the mayor of. And somehow you worried about what's going on in Venezuela when you got Venezuelans talking to Black Americans like that. Well, of course, we know that in Chicago, there was a lot of migrants that were went there and was sent there, because we know that Texas, Greg Abbott's their governor, sent a whole bunch of migrants there, and in New York City and things like that. Well, with that, a lot of those migrants were sent to Black communities and neighborhoods, right? Now, let's see here. Let's start with this. This is just a few things. Now, Black Chicago, right? Most homeless demographic is what? Blacks. Most poverty is with Blacks. This is in Chicago. Most unemployed Blacks, and a whole host of other things, right? And so when I think of that, I'm like, you talking about Venezuela. And listen, I'm not saying we shouldn't be concerned or keep our eyes on what's going on in Venezuela. Again, I don't think it's right what the United States did, but you have Brandon Johnson talking about Venezuela when you got a whole crisis in your own backyard as to what's going on with illegal immigration and Black Americans. Now, you've heard from everybody, from Jessica Jackson, Danny C, Zoe, Afro Elite, and a whole host of other people saying, hey, we don't like what's going on. And for whatever reason, Brandon Johnson ain't listening to that. But he talking about black and brown getting together for ICE, and we need to be concerned what's going on in Venezuela. And it's like, really? Now let me take this down. Okay. Let's go here. Now, of course, we've heard a lot of Black Chicagoans talk about, hey, our property taxes are going up more than anybody else's. Now, I've been hearing it, so I went and looked myself. Now, this comes from Cook County Treasurer Maria Pappas. This is from her page or whatever, I guess, city page. And then highlighted there, you can see that was done on November 17th of last year. It says homeowners in Black communities hit with biggest percentage of increases. Then over here, it says particularly hard hit homeowners in poor, predominantly Black areas on the city's south and west side. Now, in some cases, it says that they will be seeing 133% hike in property taxes. Now, the larger picture from what they're saying is, oh, well, because the commercial property in certain places of Chicago, it's being devalued and it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. We got to figure out a way to get this money, right? So we got to raise property taxes in short, right? And so that's hitting predominantly Black residents. All right, so let's take that down. Now, we also know that illegal immigration is not cheap. It costs a lot of money, right? Especially there in Chicago. It says since Mayor Brandon Johnson took office in May of 2023, the city of Chicago has spent at least $215 million on the migrant crisis, with the total city spending exceeding $600 million as of early 2025. The total amount the city has committed is higher, with some reports citing overall costs, including state and federal grants, at over $638 million. In fact, some people say it's closer to $1 billion, right? Okay, so let's take that down. So you have Black Chicagoans paying more in property taxes because we just don't have the money. But it's like, y'all gave away almost $1 billion, state and federal, helping illegal immigrants. But yet you want to, because they're saying, oh, it's because the commercial property is down. That's why. And it's like, come on now. I'm going to tell y'all right now, and I tell you all the time, Demetra Kaye is bad at math. In fact, I got a whooping from my mama in 7th grade because my grades were bad, and somehow she whooped me and my grades got better in math. I don't know. Maybe the teacher felt sorry for me. But I say all that to say, if you're telling me that you have to raise property taxes predominantly on Black residents because the commercial properties aren't doing so well, but then on one hand, you gave almost $1 billion away to help illegal immigrants, it's like, are you sure it's because of commercial property? Or do you just imagine that people will just believe it? Because I imagine people have believed it in the past. So I say all that to say that there's Mayor Brandon Johnson gaslighting and distracting, along with all the other usual suspects, your DLs, your Don Lemons, and all those people. They're distracting, trying to sew and weave Black Americans and everybody else, or into everybody else's thing, whether it's ICE, illegal immigration, whether it's Venezuela. Again, I'm not saying we should not have our eye on those things, but what about us? What about our issues? When do we get to talk about us? Why do we have to have the Black and brown? And if you listen to Mayor Brandon Johnson, he said brown and Black. It ain't even Black and brown, because I listened to it a few times. I was like, oh, I see what he did. He called himself because he was really wanting to just go hard in the paint for the brown community. But then he probably thought about it and was like, oh, and Black. Okay, because somebody gonna catch that. So again, when do we get to talk about us? Now, it is 2026. It is midterm elections, and all of those people, including Mayor Brandon Johnson, they're going to try to keep their seat. So I think a lot of them, we talked about this yesterday, they know what they're working with. And a lot of those places, I'm not quite sure about Chicago's demographics, but Los Angeles and things like that, they have a high Hispanic population. So yeah, they got to start walking and talking Latino, right? We'll think about Black people every now and then, but we're not going to predominantly talk about them. So with that, because they are going to at least knock on our doors and say, hey, I need y'all to show up for us, we need to say why. And we talked about this yesterday. It's going to be the same, repetitive. Why? Why should I show up for you and vote for you? See, because I hear how you try to weave everybody else's issues in, and you don't even really talk about us anymore. What am I going to get from that? What do I get from voting for you? And you sitting up talking about, ICE. We need to use black blueprints that we've used in the past to help stop ICE. And if you ask me, I don't like what ICE is doing and how they're doing it, I should say. But if you are here illegally, isn't that ICE's job? So why would you want to spend resources in the Black American blueprint to stop ICE? That's what they're supposed to do. Now, I know that Chicago is a sanctuary city. I think it's been that since 1983, somewhere around there. And even though the people wanted to not have it to be a sanctuary city anymore, Mayor Brandon Johnson and them was like, oh, too bad. It's going to be that, right? So I get it. But at what point do you consider Black Americans? And Black Americans, I'm going to say this, especially there in Chicago, and I've said this. Man, if y'all vote that man back in office after how he has showed you his whole natural behind and is going to continue to do it, they're still spending money on illegal immigration. If y'all vote that man back in, what do you want the rest of us to do? Now, I should say that there is a group called Chicago Flips Red, Jessica Jackson, Danny C, Zoe, and a whole host of other people, right? They're doing their best to try to bring awareness to what is going on. And they used to be, what I understand, very Democratic. We know that Chicago's a very Democrat city, but there's a lot of Black residents that's like, even if we flip it red, right? Republican, have Trump come in here, we'd rather do that than to have a person who looks like us ignore us completely while helping everybody else. Again, y'all saw that video of the immigrant talking crazy and spicy to Black Americans. You don't deserve no money and you lazy. Huh? How you talking about I don't deserve no money and the money you getting comes from me as a taxpayer? I don't deserve my own tax dollars? And don't sound like Brandon Johnson was too mad about it. I don't even know if he's even said anything about that particular guy talking to people like that. Now, he might mention, Black issues here and there, but again, it's usually with the Black and brown, right? As Black people, we gotta show up. We gotta stop ICE. Why? Why do we gotta stop ICE? Nobody stops the po-po when they doing adverse things to us. Nobody says, hey, brown community, get together with the Blacks because the po-po was whooping their behind. They're the most endangered group of, they being Black Americans, right? The most endangered group of people here in America. Nobody's saying, let's get a coalition together to help them. I don't hear about it. So I'm going to see what you guys got to say about all of that with this distraction going on. They want us to go and care more about other people's things and just completely ignore the things that we've been asking for. So thank you for bearing with me. Let's see who we got in here. Niladi King, how you doing? It says SA doesn't like Black people from other countries like South Africa. That's a lie. I've been over there. I've been to South Africa and they do. Most lovely group of people I've ever met. I did not have any vitriol, any negative conversations or anything like that with anybody in South Africa at all. Now, I will say the only adverse thing that I had happen is when we were traveling from Johannesburg to Seychelles. There was a white woman, I guess South African. She thought she was going to get froggy and fresh with me. And I was like, listen, I'm from Southern California. I'm not from over here. She had to get her understanding rearranged about me. That was the only negative interaction I had. She thought she was going to be bossing me around on the plane. I was like, I don't think so, homegirl. But other than that, everybody else was lovely. Truth to Power, how you doing? Says, will gas prices go down if the price goes down to 50 or more barrel? I don't know. I'm not really an aficionado on gas prices and oil prices and things like that. But I know what 50 is considered to be high. So I don't know. I guess gas prices have been high before. Some say they're going down. Me personally, I don't know. I put gas in my car once a month, if that. So I don't know. Clowners, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Avenge the ancestors. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. McLean, what's going on? Says if you put Stephen Miller in charge, it'll end in one or two ways. But my FBA behind is minding my business and taking care of my family and myself. Yeah, that's what we should be doing, right? We should be taking care of home first. Yeah, Stephen Miller. A lot of people say that it's actually him running the White House, I guess. And then I also heard before I came on here that the United States commandeered 2 Russian ships. One may have oil on it. The other one, they're not sure what has on it, but it had a Russian flag on it. It's like, what are we doing here? You know? Jay, how you doing? Salute to you as well. Miss Sweets in the building. How you doing? Hope that you're well. Andrew, what's going on? So Donald Trump is now reigning king, Lucifer, Satan. He is now in charge of the lie machine. Yeah, I guess some people will say that. He even said one time, was a couple weeks ago, when he was asked about going to heaven or something, he says, I don't think I'm going to go there. So at least he's honest, right? Cornelius, how you doing? Says, question, if another country does what Trump just did, hold our president of America all war crimes, and then you have some in acronyms there. So basically saying if they did that to us, well, you know, it would never stand, right? But yeah, United States, they have done it. It's not the first time that it's been done. Noriega, from what I understand, that happened. President of Panama, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not the first time. Obviously, times before that that it's happened. So yeah, they wouldn't allow that to go on here. Let's see, Jose, you say they don't have the ability in the U.S. Constitution, and I don't know what that's in regards to because I know I'm behind. Renz, what's going on with you? Gwendolyn, how you doing? Says, I thought Venezuela was a sovereign nation with their own laws, constitutions, government. What gives America the right to step in, kidnapping a president? Where is the international law? That is a good question. A lot of people saying that's illegal, but Trump is going off of the Monroe Doctrine, merged it together with his Dunroe, right? Donald Dunroe Doctrine, and basically saying because the United States said in 1823 that we can control the Western Hemisphere. Venezuela is in the Western Hemisphere. Well, we get to go over there and tell them what to do because we feel like they have made some, I guess, acts of aggression, if you will, like being accused of narco terrorism. Of course, they're saying that Maduro was inhumane to his people and just some other stuff, right? So that's the premise that they're saying they're going over there with. And that's why Trump, I'm not saying they're right. I'm just telling you what they're saying. So we need to control it because we can't trust that anybody else will control it. Now, when Marco Rubio was asked about the oil, he was like, well, we don't need the oil. We got our own oil. But it's like, well, then why did you take 2 tankers from Venezuela with oil and says, this was Trump. He says, we're keeping it. If it's not about the oil, we know it ain't about the people. Because you got people over here in America that could say, hey, I'm experiencing the same stuff that you're accusing them over in Venezuela. So why don't you fix what's going on here if it was about the people? But we know that it's not, right? Letitia, how you doing? Says, what a load of crap. The dictator is right here. Okay. Don India, how you doing? Says, Venezuela is an amazing country. I've never been. I mean, I've heard varying stories about Venezuela, whether it's a great country, whether it's not. I don't know. I've seen people from, Venezuela say it's not, it is, or whatever it is. I know a lot of people fled. I think they said about 8 million Venezuelans fled from the early 2000s when Hugo Chavez was in office, and then Maduro took office. They said, a whole host of things, inflation, food shortages, things like that. So it just depends on who you ask, I guess. Pressure, and I know I said your name wrong, but how you doing? Says, I see the U.S. taking over the Americas. This will help with the U.S. economy. That is a speculation. But then a lot of people are saying, who is the United States to take over anything? Of course, a lot of the Democrats are mad, like Chuck Schumer, because he was like, Trump is not doing a good job running the United States. How's he going to find time to run a whole other country? Then, of course, they're talking about Greenland, and they're looking at Cuba, Colombia, and Mexico as well, saying the same things, right? The cartels and, the narco terrorism. So, yeah, it doesn't sound like they're going to stop with Venezuela. So it's going to be, it remains to be seen. Alvin, how you doing? Says, Obama's such a liar. Never forgive him. Deep state. Okay. Yeah, he admitted it's a mess. It's like you left it that way. Daniel, how you doing? Okay, said Venezuela's an amazing country. Listen, I see a lot of y'all on here trying to convince me if Venezuela is an amazing country. I don't know. I take your word for it. I've never been, so I'm not saying it's not. I'm just telling you as I know it. Linda, how you doing? Says, not worried about nothing they do. Okay, Jonathan, how you doing? Says, Gaddafi was making moves like Traore. Yep. And of course, you've heard about Ibrahim Traore. There's been hits attempts rather on his life. It sounds like as recently as yesterday, they said the Ivory Coast was complicit in trying to take his life. I guess they used one of somebody that used to be in Burkina Faso, who I guess defected, or I don't know, but they tried to get them to do it. And so it was a failed attempt once again. Because Ibrahim Traore was like, yeah, we're going to be self-sufficient, get the West, France and all them out of here. And we're going to take care of our own business. And a lot of people don't like it because they've been cut out of the money train. So yeah, absolutely. Lydia, he says, free Maduro. Okay, well, gotta wait until March 17th to be exact to see what they're going to do. And the judge that's presiding over the Maduro, I guess, and his wife's situation, 92 years old, and he was appointed by Bill Clinton. And he says he ain't taking no ish, like literally said that, right? He's like, he's going to do what's fair. He does not going to be influenced and all that. 92 years old. Interesting. Let's see. It says, okay, Venezuela is an amazing country. Again, you ain't got to convince me. Somehow I've ended up in some portal somewhere. Okay, yeah. Let's see. Julius, how you doing? Says the U.S. is a demonic criminal. Yeah, some people would say that. All right, so skipping down. JJ, how you doing? Says Obama was trying to impress white folks. I mean, he's not made that a secret, even when it came to reparations, right? He says, well, I didn't want to do that because I didn't want everybody else to get mad. So he kicked Black Americans in the tailbone and admitted it, right? But it's like, what you gonna do about it? You elected me twice. The first time I pretended like I didn't see you, and the second time was like really pretended like I didn't see you. And then when I got out of office, I was like, yeah, and did, right? I neglected Black Americans, and what you gonna do about it? You still gonna love me anyway. So Jimmy, how you doing? Yep, all that. Morton, how you doing? Says, as I was saying, that Obama and Hillary are next sisters. So you say as far as Trump getting Obama and Hillary, I mean, there's been talks about it, but under what? Because he also has to remember, I guess the premise is because they tried to get him, but when he's out of office, somebody may try to get him. And in fact, he said that. I saved it. I don't have it here, but Trump was basically saying, hey, Republicans, y'all better be winning these primaries and stuff, because if you get out of office, they're going to get us. He said that. So he knows, right? They're going to put him in jail or something. They're going to do something. So he's like, you guys need to win. Like, well, why do you fear they're going to get you? Are you doing something you're not supposed to be doing? I don't know. So, yeah. Let's see. Let's skip down. I see a hell of a lot of people, I guess, from Venezuela have showed up. Welcome. Truth to Power says, did Obama ever stop to think about that? Trump has no after plan for Venezuela. Chaos already started. No, they don't have any plan. They never do. There's never any plan after they destabilize governments. Now, the other fair part of the conversation is that's why a lot of people come over to the United States, because their countries and governments and everything else has been destabilized again. There's been a lot of conversations about Somalia. And a lot of them came over here, the ones that did, right? They call them the first wave, was under the refugee status because of the destabilization due to Black Hawk down and all that. 93? Just messed up Mogadishu, right? So they were able to come over here. And that's how Minnesota has the second largest Somali population outside of East Africa. So there's other things that go with it, why people come over here. You know what I mean? So... and Sunlight says the Trump derangement is annoying. Yeah, it's he yesterday too. I don't know what he was talking about, but he was mocking somebody's daughter, and he's going, like, what's wrong with this dude? So yeah, Benny, how you doing? Yep, free Maduro. McQueen says, woo, Minister Farrakhan snap. Yes, he did. Always, right? Todd, how you doing? Says, Mike drop. Salam to you as well. Let's see. Simply Sandra says, Minister went in, and I know I'm behind in the comments, so I'm going to catch up. Yeah. Guess somehow people don't think that Venezuela is amazing, but people are here reminding me. Sunlight says, Don and Don Lemon, DL, oh, Lord, say it ain't so. Yes, they are going around, I guess, different places, and they're just having conversations. with people. And I guess Mayor Brandon Johnson from Chicago was one of the first people they were talking about or talking to. A lot of gaslighting, if you ask me. Joe, how you doing? James Brown, how you doing? Free Maduro, okay. All right, so let's get to some other people who ain't talking about freeing Maduro, because I think that's the common theme here. Gloria, how you doing? Says DL is a raccoon. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Some people say that. Yeah, he's definitely a shield. Democrat shield. Definitely, right? McQueen, he says, Brandon, your ancestors are not mine. You cannot relate to FBA. So I don't know. There's people who are saying that he's not Black American. Some people are saying he's from somewhere else. I thought he was Black American. He talks about his ancestors on the plantation. So if he's not Black American, or where, as y'all say, where your people from? Where's his people from, if y'all don't mind me asking? David says those people don't even like Blacks. Venezuelans. So I've heard. Chris, how you doing? Says, while Brandon had a Black moment, he has them every once in a while, but they don't mount to anything. Vin's ancestors, she says, these dudes talk so crazy. Yep. Got too cool. Yep. All that. Let's see. Alvin, he says, United States of America was going to be backed by gold. Yes. Change currencies. No US dollars. United States would not let the Nation of Islam receive $1 billion now. While they did that. Yes, that's true. Gaddafi was trying to give a whole lot of money to the Nation of Islam. And of course, the United States government blocked it rather. But the other thing too is Gaddafi was on Pan-Africanism, right? He was like, hey, let's all us around the diaspora, as Black folks, let's get together. Let's think about another currency, gold and all of that. And shortly after that, they labeled him, a bad dude. And they took him out of there. And now Libya is worse than when he was there. Spencer, how you doing? Okay. Todd, he says, Mayor Johnson is sus. And what do you mean by that? Because I know he's married. I'm on. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. And I'm sorry for jacking y'all names up, but on my end, y'all names are kind of squashed together. So yeah. Darius, how you doing? Says, American imperialism and capitalism affects all of us worldwide. This title is garbage. Well, it may be to you, but I don't know what to tell you. I want to say something real spicy, but I can't. I have to remember that this ain't my channel. So I have to be nice, but whatever. Anyway, King Noble says, it's lazy. You lazy. Yeah, that's what he said to the sister. You lazy. Okay, so let me skip down a little bit so I can catch up. Godson, how you doing? Says, sure did. Sent them to crowd the Black communities. Yeah. Told Black people to deal with it. We know we told you this school in Chicago, right, was going to be open for a youth center, but we lied. We're going to use it for a shelter. A lot of landlords was kicking people out because they were able to get a lot of money, right, to house illegal immigrants. A lot of them Venezuelans. They got a lot of money to house them. And so they displaced a lot of people who were just living there before this mass immigration thing took place. See, people don't talk about that much either. For her good, how you doing? Says, blessed day, Demetra. Back at you. Says, keep sharing this information. I shall. I gotta skip through all of the free Maduro comments, and that Venezuela is an amazing country. That's okay. It adds to the participation. Truth to Power says Trump has to increase deportation of Venezuelans. They free now. But see, that's the other thing too, what we got to start thinking. Because on one hand, Trump was telling us that the Venezuelans, they got the Tren de Agua and these gangs and, all this other stuff. They're doing this other stuff. But now you're going over there to Venezuela to help them. What story do you want us to believe, Trump? That Venezuelans are bad, right? Especially when, I'm not saying this, but he's saying this when they're over here. But now you need to go over there and rescue them? What story do you want us to believe? But that's how propaganda works. Most people won't even stop and think like, wait a minute, nah, it was like enemy number one or close to it. And now you need to go and kidnap their president to save them. A lot of contradictions going on there. So yeah. Phil, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Let's see. Who else is on here? D-Toppy, what's going on? Says true points, but Chicago has always been a sanctuary city. Yes, and we stand with our Mayor Johnson. He is for our communities. Well, it sounds like from what you're saying, there are a lot of people that are standing with our Mayor Johnson. So how is it, where did the confusion come from? There's a lot of people who are saying, and they've illustrated, that he's not for, when you say your communities, you're talking about Black American communities, or you're talking about a different community. It's been illustrated that he's not. It's been illustrated that he's willing to spend a lot of money on illegal immigration while neglecting Black communities. So what are you talking about? If you don't mind me asking. Daryl, how you doing? Says, let Maduro govern India. I guess. Lily, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Okay. Yeah, okay. JJ says, you need some mods on this channel to delete some of these people leaving remarks. Oh, it doesn't bother me. I just have to weed through them or whatever. I don't have a problem with people making comments as long as I don't even have a problem necessarily with you saying stuff about me because I know it's not true. But when you just really acting ignorant, I can block you. My block finger works really well, but you're right. And usually there are mods on this channel, but for whatever reason, I don't really see any on this one. So yeah. But it's okay. What? Rashad, how you doing? Are those ice cubes? 23 Archer, how you doing? I'm good. I can block if I need to. Gwendolyn, how you doing? Says Trump just stole. Yes, I saw that. Said a whole Nigerian oil tanker stating that Nigeria stole it from their own refinery. So is that the one that was flying the Russian flags that happened earlier today? So is that who it belonged to? Because again, I'm not quite sure. Let's see. East B, what's going on? You says, what up? I think you meant FBA family. Said OBA family, but how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Julius, she says, feds have been targeting Black content creators. You said just like COINTELPRO back in the 60s. Yeah, which is why, in a sense, we, especially Black content creators, we have to be careful of the things that we say. We do. We don't have the freedom unless you're kind of like, a shield or something like that, and you talking some good stuff for them. We have to monitor what we say. And I see a lot of times I'll be like, why can't y'all just say the word? It's like, because that word, we get in trouble for saying certain words and things. So yeah, we are very monitored, especially as Black creators. There's a lot of things we love to talk about. But again, on the app, we could talk about whatever we want to talk about. If y'all will go get that, we could talk about those things. But on these other platforms, can't talk about those things. You be shut down quick. Van Mac, how you doing? Says, our God said we are to be separate nation. We weren't supposed to mix and be involved with the others. That is true. And we've been told for a long time to separate. McQueen says, Brandon Johnson don't care about FBAs. He goes on overdrive for immigrants and got the nerve to expect FBA vote. Yeah, well, this sounds like somebody in here says we're going to keep him in office. And that's your right. D-Toppy says, we are so quick to curb side our own Black people when other races of mayors have done far more damaging to our communities. I didn't have my coffee today. I was so busy that I just didn't get around to it, and I almost wish that I had, because comments like that, they're very exhausting. And I think I just need some caffeine to deal with it. I mean, that's why we stay in the situation we're in politically, because we go by it. They Black, right? They're Black. So we just need to keep them in office. We need to vote them in office. And as far as the other ones, yeah, they do us worse. But it hurts worse, I think, when it comes from people who say they are like you. But I will say this about the other mayors that are white or Asian, whatever it is, they get in there and they whoop butt. They kick butt for their people, right? They bring home the bacon and do a whole host of things. And those other communities, they don't allow the mayors and all them people to sit up under them and not do nothing for them. You know what they say? You're out of here, buddy. You're not going to stay here and do that to us. They get them out of there. Us? When I say us, I mean Black Americans. You have your John Lewis's, RIP to him. You have your James Clyburn. He's been in office, God knows how long. You got your Maxine Waters. She's been in office. You got your Sheila Jackson Lee. She went on up to glory in office. Sylvester Turner. He went on up to glory. And obviously what we do is we keep them in office forever and ever and ever, 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 ever. And they do not a damn thing specifically for the people who sent them there. And you have the nerve to be in this comment section talking about what we do to them. We ain't did nothing to them. If you want my vote, you need to do something for me. Is that so hard? Like I'm asking you to do something for me. You're asking me to show up and vote for you. But when I show up and vote for you, you go and show up for everybody else. See, you need to stop doing that. Stop trying to guilt other Black people into voting for more of nothing. We shouldn't be asking for something. And if I don't care if you're purple, you're green, you're pink, what color you are, if you ain't talking about helping Black Americans too, then you shouldn't be in office. Not because you're Black. There's a lot of things that's Black, and it has absolutely no earthly good for Black people. So knock that off. And that was me with no coffee. Let's see who else is on here. Mike, how you doing? I always love to see you here. Five Range, what's going on? Same here. It says peace and power, reparations, FBA family, FBA first. Yes, Sister Shirley, how you doing? Also glad to see you as well. Let's see, going down. Let's see who else I haven't seen because I just realized the time. Quinn Hayes, how you doing? Says Trump is on the verge of dragging us into World War III. So we need to be concerned about what goes on outside of our borders. I never said we shouldn't be concerned. We should be, right? We should be concerned and abreast of world affairs because yes, it does affect us. But at what point do Black Americans get to say, can we focus on us? We're always being dragged this way and dragged that way. And, you know, everybody else is burning building and ours is burnt to a crisp. We're like in a cardboard box now. We don't even have a house. So, yes, we should be concerned. We should be in the know. Because for me personally, I hate having conversations with people. And they be like, oh, really? I don't know who the vice president is. Like, that bothers me. So we should know those things. But when do we get to focus on us? Everybody else is focused on them. Go to any Asian community and see what they're talking about. See if they're talking about Black Americans or what white folks are doing. Or are they talking about things that affect them? Yeah, they know what's going on in the world, but they're not spending most of their time being distracted. They're building. They're doing things that are conducive to their community. And we need to be doing the same. We can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. I believe we can. Now, me personally, I might bite my jaw, but I can still do it. So let's see. All of that. Yep. 91. Tom Thomas says Obama got Gaddafi. Yes, that is absolutely true. That did happen. What? Morgan says we can't trust that P. Diddler people won't do it. I try not to have too many conversations about Diddy. Is that what we're doing? Kruma, how you doing? Says after seeing what Israel got away with, nothing is off the table, as Trump would say. No, Trump is like, you know, we gonna entertain it all, right? Intel Inside, how you doing? Says we need to call him Donald Debo Trump. Yeah, it's because you're saying he's a gangster. He's snatching people chains and stuff. Got it. Yeah, I've seen that correlation. What? Somebody on here talking about Rip Biden. Is he still with us? Or are you up here trolling? Okay. Just skipping down, going down. Trying to acknowledge everybody I haven't seen. D. Jefferson, how you doing? Says question. Do us Americans really think it is okay for Russia and China, the United States adversaries, to be in our backyard in the Western Hemisphere? They will surely attack U.S. on American soil. No, I don't think it's okay. I didn't say it was okay. But I thought there was a process that you have to go through, you know, especially before bombing boats. That sounds like a lot of them were just fishing. Isn't there a process you have to go through? You just taking them out? I'm just asking. Because I know in a lot of countries, when they see people going over there doing things they ain't supposed to be doing, they'll give them a trial and they'll probably, but they at least get a trial, right? So I'm just saying. All right, let's see. Y'all really want Venezuelan Maduro free. Roz, how you doing? Says greetings family. What Trump did is piracy and kidnapping. He is being true to his race. Them folks have been acting this way since they came out of the caves. So they say. But yeah, that I think it's kidnapping as well. So I'm not agreeing with what Trump is doing. I'm just giving you context. Vance says people should go to their homelands and make their lands great again. Yeah, but again, you got to have the other conversation about why a lot of those homelands are destabilized. Let me see. I don't think I have it here. Did I put it back? I referenced this book a lot. Let's see. Oh, I have it right here for those of y'all who are interested. It's called Tattoo Soldier by Hector Tovar. I read this book in college years and years ago, and I knew nothing about how governments got destabilized and things like that, and why people come over here. When I read this book, it's fiction, but there's a lot of historical context in it. When I read this book, it changed my mind completely about how I got enlightened rather on how and why a lot of people come over here. So a lot of times it's not as easy as they go back home and build up their countries and things like that, because it had help getting that way. And a lot of it was with the hand of the United States. Just putting that out there. Balance found, how you doing? Says Venezuela has to handle their business, and the same goes for Americans. Yes, indeed. Mystic, how you doing? Says Venezuelan people are happy he gone, but they should be mad. America want their oil for itself. Yeah. Perry, how you doing? Says that's why China and Russia want to influence Venezuela, and that's the other argument as well. Blood Cupid, how you doing? Destroy everything was going on. Says need to get our lands back. All of that. I didn't realize how much time had passed. But listen here, I am going to skip all the way down to the bottom. I would love to read everybody's comments, but I'm just not going to beat the comment section today. It would have been my wish that I did. But I will say this, man, you guys are going in. It won't be like this tomorrow. I promise you. Anyway, so I will be back here tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central Time. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but I'm sure it'll be interesting. But I will just say this again. We as Black Americans, especially, we have to be concerned about what we got going on in our community, because we are, in a sense, if you talk about destabilization, right? The Black American community is destabilized in every way you can think of. It had a lot of help getting there, systemic and institutional racism. So things that we do to ourselves, right? We got to throw it all up in there, and we got to focus on ourselves. Do we focus on what's going on around the world? Absolutely, right? Because it doesn't help us to be oblivious to what's going on, because in a sense, those things, they have an effect on us. Let's say there is going to be a World War III that take place. Who do you think they're going to send? They're going to send a lot of people who don't want to go, and a lot of those people look like us, right? And they won't care. Will there be a draft? Maybe. I don't know. It sounds like it's not off the table as much as it was back in the day. So yeah, we have to be concerned with those things. But the other thing, more importantly, if we want to avoid a lot of these things that's going on, we have to be careful of who we're putting in office. Because right now, the Democrats, they're doing a lot of complaining. It's like, well, what you going to do about it? They still run around talking about fighting ICE and all this other stuff. It's like, well, that's kind of why y'all not in power no more, because people didn't like the mass immigration that was going on. That's why Trump got in. He's talking about mass deportation. Is he doing some funky things? Yeah, he's doing some funky things, but they all do funky things. But it would behoove us as Americans, regardless of where you come from, to be careful of who you vote for. As I always say, vote for somebody that's going to be here. Moderate, common sense that says, okay, well, I like to do this, but I know that doesn't help my people. I know we want to do that, but yeah, the people won't benefit from that. Get somebody in there who is going to benefit the people and not the oligarchy, right? And all that. So we have to be careful who we vote for, but more importantly as well, we need to not be distracted, because a lot of this stuff that's going on is a distraction to us. You hear these so-called Black leaders talking about, oh, we need to help fight ICE and use the Black American blueprint. Now, why? Why do we need it? So we got to start asking why. Brandon Johnson's up there with the DLs, right? Don Lemon and DL Hughley, and they're, talking about Venezuelan and ICE and all this other stuff. It's like, I don't know, was that a Black platform? Maybe it wasn't. But they're Black folks, and I don't know, I don't really hear them talking about anything that specifically benefits Black Americans. And largely they don't think that that's a thing. A lot of them are against reparations. They don't think we should be talking about that. They think we should be talking about this all lives matter stuff, right? Well, you know, we're all Americans. Why you want reparations? You'll never get it. And those are people who look like us that talk like that. So we got to be careful not to be distracted. And we also got to remember to ask why and do our homework as to who we are putting in office. Again, Mayor Brandon Johnson gets in office as Black Chicagoans. Do you think it's going to be any better? Do you think life is going to improve for you? Or do you think he's going to go full speed ahead with what he's already been doing? And that is participating in the benign neglect of Black Americans while helping people who came over here illegally. I'm just asking. So anyway, love and appreciate every last one of y'all. I will see y'all tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central Time. Peace.